All right, folks, getting into our third game of the night, the Rebel Force versus Poro Stars. Joining me in the co-caster's chair, good friend Donkey's Hunter.
What up?
We are in Champion Select. Poro Stars desperately needing a win tonight. They are on the bottom of the ladder. 0 wins this season. They've shown up in force, though, ready to take this game on, and they face a team largely unproven, but performed very well in our first game of the night. Definitely gave their opponent quite a big run for the money. Gonna see what they can do against a team not as highly rated, and it should be quite an interesting matchup going into this. I don't expect Poro Stars to get a very solid early lead, but definitely have a really good chance of pulling off the win, their first win of the season tonight.
Well, we saw flashes of genius coming from Rebel Forces 2 games ago. I mean, they seemed as though they had a good plan, they were playing their comps, they were doing things well in the laning phase, but when it came to the team fight phase, it sort of fell apart. Also, I like this Vladimir ban. Just on the buy and buy.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't seen what Chocolatine is capable of, and just going off the scout from that last game, the Vladimir ban, nothing wrong at all with that. Of course, we're gonna have to see if Chocolatine has a deep enough roster to be able to be banned out there, but he might have not even played as strong as champion in that opening game.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, the Vlad was definitely impressive, so he did work with it. We're going to have to see what else he can play this game, but as a team, they need to be on the same level. Maybe they haven't had a lot of chance to practice. Maybe they're a group of friends who just sort of like play together casually. But where they need to bring it together is with the team coming together, doing the team fights. And if they can't do that, if we see a similar performance to what they had last game, I think we're going to see Poro Stars with their first win of the season.
Certainly is in their hands. They've got a lot of adversity to make up for. It's been a rough road for them so far, but I'm really impressed that they continue to show up week after week, continue to practice and try to improve, and this may be their big chance to get the train going back in their direction. Camouflare and Killing Force were very hyped up at the beginning of the tournament. Poro Stars was a highly rated team, and they just haven't lived up to that yet. But maybe they've worked out the kinks. Maybe they've gotten in their stride and figured out what they were doing wrong and eliminated it, and they're just coming into this week a much healthier team. But one thing's for sure, they need to pull this win off. If they don't, they're going to be facing a much harder team later on tonight when they go up against ST6, and they've got to be in top form. They can't be tilted. Happy Killing Force has picked up the Wumple. I just called it the Wumple buff. Good lord. Has picked up the Kalista for himself. Kalista, stupid champion right now, completely broken, and really solid pickup for Killing Force. If he can come out like the AD carry that people in this league know him to be tonight, then he's gonna. Rebel Force is going to have a really rough time with this. Camouflare going off of his traditional support path, not going to play the Leona Janna, instead going to play the Morgana, and I have to think this is playing into some larger team composition strategy for them.
We'll find out. We will find out. I can't believe that Ari was that far down the list, though. That's crazy that Ari was the last pick for Blue Team. Gross.
Yeah, Ari, one of those champions that you really need to pick up early or ban. I'm surprised as well that this one got as far as it did. Of course, Odin's son going to be taking that one, and heading into the mid lane with that. So that's definitely a positive for Rebel Force. I don't think Poro Stars should have let that one slip quite through their fingers. You pick up the Kalista and grab the Ari, and you're pretty much good to go. Looks like Tetran going to be thinking about the Orianna here as well. Should round out their composition quite nicely. And the Orianna ends up getting locked in. What are you thinking about these two compositions?
I mean, what you need to ask yourself is this. Does one team have Ari and does the other one not? Then there's your answer. That's my pick. I pick the team with Ari to win because Ari is stupid. So
Rebel Force have the blue side advantage, have the Ari advantage.
The Ari advantage. That's a good term.
Well, when you're sitting at 57%, which is bigger than blue side's percentage win rate advantage, kind of ridiculous.
Kinda? Yeah, kinda ridiculous.
We'll see if they have the mechanical ability to take those advantages and translate them into a win. Generation Blue has joined the fight for this game, though, so RF not going to need a substitution. They'll be operating at full strength. Snugglebear, Chocolatine, Generation Blue, Odin's Son, these guys have played together plenty of times. Take away Space Curtains and add in yours truly, and that's my old ranked team. So definitely know these guys very well, and I know they've got a lot of practice time together, which is something that a lot of the other teams that were selected through the draft process don't have the advantage of. We'll see if that's going to be enough to make up for the skill gap.
Should be interesting.
Well, we're heading into our 3-minute delay here. We'll go ahead and take a short caster break, and we'll see you guys back when we head out onto the Rift. And we are gearing up for the third match of the night. Rebel Force against Poro Stars. Everything on the line for both teams here. Starting things off right with a pause. We're going to go ahead and check into that connection issue, and we'll be back as soon as the action starts. That... Okay. Okay, looks like we've gotten past that connection issue. Both teams going to be headed into their respective positions, and it looks like Rebel Force going to choose to wait inside this brush. Poro Stars haven't seen them quite yet. If they transition down toward the bottom side tri-brush, this is going to end very badly for Poro Stars. RF moving as a unit here, invading into the blue buff area of the jungle. Neither team spotted one another at this point. Red doing the exact same thing blue side is doing. Poro Stars completely inside RF's jungle. Odin's son ends up getting seen. Space Curtains finds all 5 members of Poro Stars. Has to get up out of that one, and he's only got 15 seconds to heal up and head back to his jungle. He's not going to have the assistance of the other members of his team, so that one's going to be a delayed start for him. So early invade going in favor of Poro Stars.
All right, and I'm with us. I'm here. I'm a participator.
I don't know what we'd do without you, Donkey.
I don't want to live in that world.
Me neither.
I'm glad that we agree. Your love has always been so pure, Hanson.
It has.
Back to the game. Back to the game.
So I don't know about you, but I'm very excited about having secured prizing for our mid-season tournament.
Yo! How much of that are you going to let me tax? What can I get my greedy hands on? Oh, the invade, though. Time out. Do you see this invade?
Space Curtains finds Qatar here. Forces the flash away. Qatar turns back to get some harass damage down. Looked like Qatar did end up getting his blue buff there. So a little bit of a failed invade from Space Curtains. He decided to do that level 2. Speaking of level 2, Generation Blue and Snuggle Bear hitting that benchmark before the other side were able to do it.
So that's going to be really, really unfortunate for our Vi. He's still level 1. He's taken 1 minion. It's pretty ugly, and I don't know what he can do to come back. But you were saying about this prize money and how much I can get my grubby hands on.
Well, you'd have to actually end up joining a team participating in the tournament. Even I don't end up getting any prize for organizing.
Anson, that sounds like work.
It is.
If there's one thing you know about me, I don't work. I just don't do it. It's against my religion. So
you're more of a 4-hour work week type of person.
I will be accepting donations from the winners, though. That hook, though, that could be trouble.
Killing Force gets hooked back, has to kite around the trap, ends up triggering one instead, and Killing Force is on the run. Has about 150 hit points. Gonna be able to make it back to his turret. Had to blow his summoner heal for that, though.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
So once again, Poro Stars bottom lane not exceeding, not doing exceptionally well. Flare Killing Force got a lot to make up for after forcing that back. Of course, Killing Force going to be picking up his dagger on the way back. This will allow him to apply those stacks on his passive a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't know. You still know my opinion. Our team is the winning team. 10 out of 10.
We'll see if that actually ends up happening. Right now, Blue off to a rough start as well. You know, Rebel Force ended up failing on the invade. Their jungler tried a secondary invade and didn't pull anything off. So the lanes are not going to have the support of the Vi ganks for a while now. If Snugglebear really intends on getting back, or Space Curtains really intends on getting back into this game.
Well, now they're going to 2-man the dragon. Oh, 3-man. I'm sorry. I didn't see Jinx. So, I mean, that'll be good for the team, I guess.
A good early dragon
attack. But,
absolutely no response from Poro Stars on that one. I think they just ended up taking it so early that Poro Stars really weren't expecting it. Chocolatine getting harassed quite a bit here. Sky ends up leaping after him, grabbing the kill there. Really good pickup for Poro Stars. Chocolatine not quite looking as comfortable on that Lissandra as he was on his Vladimir earlier.
I mean, I just think that was... I mean, alright, so he's got the CS advantage. I just think that was a case of not respecting the Jax flash. He didn't have the timings to flash at the same time the Jax flash was. So, a little unfortunate, but you know, what are you gonna do? It's not a lost lane. Lissandra's very, very strong against Jax, so I think that once he gets some items, once he gets the Seekers, he'll be fine. But this bot lane,
Generation Blue flays 2 times backward. Common Flare and Killing Force end up reciprocating with quite a bit of damage. Snugglebear is sitting pretty low. Generation Blue plenty healthy. He's going to continue to keep trying to chuck those hooks out there and find a target. If he ends up snagging Killing Force, could be that Snugglebear nearly getting tagged by the Dark Binding. Camouflare has to pop the mana potion. Got virtually nothing left in his resource pool. Tetrin, meanwhile, facing off against Odin's Son in this mid lane, and the CS advantage going to be going over to Odin, but not by a whole lot.
I mean, alright, so unfortunately Sandra died, but looking at the overall team comp, or at least the condition that the team is in, I feel as though our blue team is in a better spot. This Jinx is sitting on, you know, over 20, almost nearly 30 farm over this Ballista. Oh, top lane Jax. This Lissandra should be able to stabilize this lane versus Jax. I mean, Lissandra's kit is built to deal with Jax. She has the stun, she has the ultimate, she has everything she needs. Hang on.
We'll see if Chocolatine is able to use that in order to get back into this. He had a pretty good freeze going on here, but really needs to avoid shoving that lane out really hard at this stage. It just looks like Sky is dictating the pace up top here, and it's not really going to leave him a whole lot of room to breathe, especially if he's using his mana to push that lane. Counterflare ends up spell shielding here, but Killing Force getting targeted by the Roam. The 4-man gank gonna take out 2 with a rocket. Gonna pick up the last one there. Great engage coming out from Rebel Force. They did exactly what they had to with that fight. 4-man engaged it, and they're gonna be rewarded with 2 kills, potentially a tower, for their efforts.
Yeah, I mean, that whole game, That's what I like to call the Ari factor. That's where you push out mid super hard because you're Ari and you can do it with one ability, and then you roam bottom, and you can get there and have high mobility, and you don't have to land anything. You just like use your ult and W, fly around a lot, and you get kills.
And that is the team coordination that I was talking about earlier. The comfort level these guys on Rebel Force have playing with each other time after time really shows through in opportunities like that. Let's see if they can hang on to it. Game 1 of the series, or Game 1 of the night, they had themselves an early lead, but ended up throwing it.
Well, they just didn't group, but it looks like they're either taking steps to try and fix that, or ooh man, this Woo! Oh, Woo misclick! Oh, baby Wukong!
Qatar ends up misclicking on the red buff and executes. Not a good thing for Poro Stars.
I was really wondering why my directional camera was focusing so long on this Woo taking red buff, and I'm like, but Raito, there's no action here. And Raito was like, trust child, action will come.
And so it did.
And so it did, and it was good.
Rebel Force pushing up onto this turret. The hook not going to find Cleanfoot there. Just barely outside the hitbox on that one. Wave clear coming from Poro Stars, going to force Rebel Force back up off of the turret. But at this stage, Rebel Force have a good position to get back in there and try for it again. Sky having a little bit more trouble bullying Chocolatine right now. Round 2, Qatar versus Red Buff. Qatar wins.
Well, and here's the thing about the jungle matchup is that here we were sitting thinking that this Vi was going to get bullied because the failed invade and how far behind she was. Meanwhile, she's up like 600 gold to this Wukong, 2 assists, and right now the only kills that this jungler has had are attributed to the red golem. Interesting.
Ends up being thrown in by Killing Force. Chocolatine going hard on to Sky forces him to back up out of that engagement. Really great turnaround from Chocolatine. Poro Stars though setting up for their first dragon of the game. Qatar ends up getting the W from Snugglebear. Does not look like Snuggle's going to be able to do much. Forcing 4 members away. The teleport is coming down, has to flash away from the shockwave there. Space Curtains and Noted Sun have joined the fight. Snugglebear bought them enough time, but is it going to make the difference here? The W ends up stealing the dragon. Snugglebear taking the dragon away right out from under Qatar. He had this smite. Qatar is not having a great game here. Ends up dying to Odin's son. Odin, meanwhile, took the snare.
That was a really good. That was a really good binding from Camouflare. That's the next level binds, where you have the kill secured, but you give them just enough space so that they blow all their summoners. That's the next level. That's the diamond elo.
Camouflare right. Certainly having his fair share of experience in that diamond elo bracket as the team captain on his side. Really doing his best to try to get this team into winning shape. But this is quite a contest. Right now, the gold total still in favor of Rebel Force at 2,000. But Poro Stars are showing that they are to be respected in these engagements.
This is a very close game, and we're going to have to see what happens. I feel like all the lanes are pretty even now.
Things should not quite be deceiving. Especially after the really slow start that Space Curtains got. But look at this. He's level 7 to Qatar's level 6. Qatar has he's not pushed the advantage that he gained with those early fails from Space Curtain. He allowed him all the time in the world to make up for his losses and get back in this, and he's done exactly that.
Well, he just hasn't had any real presence in this game, which is unfortunate. And then obviously he lost that smite to the Jinx, which, you can only blame one person so far. At some point you have to go like, okay, well, someone needs to be there to block it off so that you can't just fire a skill shot. It's almost like the Lee Sin. Someone's got to position themselves to block off that Lee Sin Q to make sure that he can't jump in and steal it, and that's a team effort. Oh,
Space Curtain's going in hard on to Tetrin. Gets the lockdown. Odin's Son is here to provide the damage with his ultimate. Common Flare pops his ult as well, and Chocolatine joins the fight, going to pick up the kill. Katara and Tetrin end up falling in that engagement, and Rebel Force are coming out in force, looking to take 2 towers off the back of that fight. Really great engage from Rebel Force.
Like the exact opposite of what we saw from them in the game before. I mean, they're grouping, they're taking those objectives.
They're fighting as a team.
This Jax, though, is like, he's willing to trade 3 towers for that 1 top tower. I feel like hashtag not worth. I mean, his team really needed him in these fights, and instead he's doing whatever. It's like the exact reverse. I mean, the last game we played, we had the Vlad, who just sat top lane and just was like this immobile tower, but now it's the reverse. And they got the inhibitor tower. I mean, it's not very hard for them just to recall, heal up, and defend their inhibitor tower, and then they end up coming out way farther ahead. And look, and he has no wards. Jax has no wards. This is another thing. 101. Make sure you bring wards when you do the split pushing, because he could have gotten the free tower right there. There was absolutely nothing stopping him.
I think the split push was just really not working out well for Sky. He needed to be there at the inhibitor turret. When the enemy team is knocking on the door of the inhibitor and you're still taking out top tower, time to reevaluate the options.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. He saw his laner go down there, so he knew there was going to be a disadvantage around the dragon fight. Then they were able to move it to the mid lane, and they started taking mid lane. At that point, you need to say to yourself, okay, I got to be in a position to help defend, because I can't just AFK farm top lane. I need to, group. So, unfortunately, we didn't do it, and Rebel Forces was able to get 3 towers. Oh, this could be trouble.
Chocolatine ends up getting found out by Qatar. The stun goes down from Sky. Gets some great damage onto Qatar, but the combined force of the 3-man gank squad gonna take him out. The rocket is flying, not gonna hit anybody.
Yeah, I mean, this is unfortunate that this is breaking down this way, but if Poro Stars is going to get into this game, what they really need to do is they need to start looking for a team fight. They have the team fight comp. They have the Callista with the Runans, right? Runans Hurricane?
Yes.
Yeah, with the Runans Hurricane.
I just call it the Hurricane.
Yeah, the Hurricane. That's a good term. They have the Hurricane. They have the Orianna. They even have Jax, who's pretty decent in team fights. They have Wukong. Amazing. I mean, they have a comp for team fighting.
You take a look, the Wukong is in the jungle. Not a very common pick. I don't think Wukong has the strength to stand up to the tier 1 junglers these days, of which Vi is one of them. Would have definitely liked to have seen a Wukong in the top lane versus in the jungle. But yeah, you take a look at the late game killing power. Tetrin gets hooked over the wall with a play here. Space Curtain doing some work.
He's alive.
Ends up surviving that. Not sure how Chocolatine and crew are in the middle of the engagement here. Odin's Son gonna wipe out Killing Force, and Qatar, the only one left alive. That was a 4-for-1 exchange in favor of Rebel Force, and they look to be picking up their first win of the tournament if they can keep this momentum going in their favor. At this point, Poro Stars, yes, they're playing from behind. They are down 6,000 gold at 19 minutes in. But if Rebel Force does not secure their victory and keep pressing their advantage, they're just going to allow Poro Stars to catch back up and get into that late game.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just pretty ugly for Poro Stars right now. I don't know what they need to do to catch up, but it's not that. It is not that.
Qatar with his 5th death of the game, not having a good game here at all. That's going to leave Rebel Force open to take out this dragon. And right now, Odin's son and his team got to be feeling good about their chances to pull off this win. Still,
Yeah.
11-6, 20 minutes in. We're not quite looking at the death knell yet. Space Curtains gets caught out here. Killing Force going to take that one on to Generation Blue, but Odin's son is here. Ends up getting exhausted, though, still throwing out the abilities. That's negating a good portion of his damage there. Sky bringing up the back line here. Target of the Oriana ball, but Chocolate is not going to go off. Look at Chocolatine putting down that damage there. Gets quite a bit down. Ends up falling as well. He was by himself. Rebel Force not fighting these engagements as a group. They're just sort of piecemealing it off in different directions. The focus was not there, and I really feel like that helped Poro Stars to go even up in that exchange.
Yeah, that definitely was not a group effort. They were just sort of coming in one by one. But that being said, Chocolate Ovaltine did a pretty nice ultimate there. Did a lot of work, a lot of damage. I can't. All I see is when I see his name is I think Chocolate Ovaltine. I don't know what it is, but
It's marketing. You've had that marketed to you since you were a kid.
I guess, man. I don't know.
Everybody remembers the old Ovaltine commercials.
I'm gonna keep calling him Chocolate Ovaltine until he tells me differently. So
Okay.
he had a really good ultimate. It was a really nice fight. He did a good job cleaning up sort of a little bit of the mess, but if his team just grew, we wouldn't be in the mess. Comma Flare.
Players trying to drop some wards here. Pops the ult, gets the stun off. Tetran's not going to be able to pick up the kill on the Space Curtains, but Killing Force is here. Space having to flash up out of that one. Shockwave's going to hit Snuggle Bear. One more auto attack.
Ooh,
should
nice
do
flash.
it. Flashes over the skill shots from Odin's son. Odin's going to end up picking that one up. But look at this. Chocolatine is in the top lane, pushing away at this inhibitor. He's not going to be able to take it out. Chocolatine needed to be there for that fight.
Yeah, if you're gonna have somebody push, you probably don't want it to be your Lissandra top lane. I mean, that's not. Oh no!
The escape not gonna.
Yo,
the lantern
Thresh
and
brought
the
it.
Zonya. Odin's son is here. Could he save the day? The exhaust goes on to Qatar, but
Baited.
Sky is on his back. Not gonna come out with that
Baited,
one.
calculated, relegated, appreciated. Other things that end with aided.
You've got to appreciate the lantern there. That was an epic lantern.
Hey, appreciate. I celebrate the lantern. All right. I don't differentiate between the good and the bad. All right.
Snugglebear firing his ultimate down the mid lane. Not going to do much damage on Killing Force and Comma Flare. They are steadily plugging away at that push. Going to have to back off as they approach tower range, though. Meanwhile, Sky is up top lane, and he is just pushing this lane down. Been quite a menace on the side with that lane, just getting it to that turret, but unfortunately hasn't been able to get damage down onto the turret quite yet. Every time he gets up there, he ends up having to go back for one reason or another, whether it's lack of vision, somebody responding in the area. If he's going to continue with that split pushing, he needs to have a strategy to take out that mid-tier turret.
Yeah, what he needs is wards. I mean, the name of the game is he needs wards, and he needs like tier 2 boots to make him feel a little bit more comfortable. Because right now, he wants a split push, but he has no good vision. And now, ooh, this ultimate.
Tetran ends up getting jumped on Odin's son in the middle of the fight. That's going to blow Tetran up, and this could be Rebel Force's victory fight here. They end up taking out 2. Snugglebear is on to Qatar here. The snare not going to hit him, but the inhibitor is definitely going to be Rebel Force's. Rebel Force trying to get in here for 5 damage, stacking things up onto Chocolate Team, but Odin's son is right up in the front, forces him to have to back up out of that one. Comma Flare eats the charm here. Killing Force going to save him with the ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Wukong. He was on Jinx. I don't know why he hesitated. I think if he would have ulted, he probably Jinx had no flash. He and Kalista probably would have been able to one-shot this Jinx. But there was hesitation and they didn't go for it. So Jinx walked out alive. I mean, I think that this Wukong's just being a little too passive with his ultimates. I think he's afraid of ulting like one person. But if you get that one person is the Jinx or an Ahri, man, just
I think
do
at this
it. Pull
point
the trigger.
he's afraid of dying anymore. I
Well,
think
that's silly.
with 5 deaths, he's got to feel like at this point that there's something that he could be doing better, and that's definitely not it.
And that's why it's silly. I mean, that was warded, wasn't it? Or did he drop the ward in? No, he dropped the ward in.
He dropped a ward in there.
But when you have a lot of deaths, that's when you don't care if you die or not. You're like, okay, well, if I'm gonna die, at least I'm gonna try and make a play for my team. But it's the only time you should be afraid to die is when you have a huge gold bounty and you're like, I don't want to give this to the enemy team. That's the time when you got to protect your butt. Yeah, anytime I'm in a solo queue game and I'm like feeding, I'm like, whoa, let me see if I can one-shot their 80 carry. Time to jump in and make a play. And it's like, oh, that didn't work, but I tried something.
Rebel Force going for their 4th dragon of the game at 26 minutes. Dragon number 4, that is just ridiculous. They grab the pushing power off of that kill and set themselves up for a 33-minute 5th dragon count. So they're in quite a good position. They've mounted a substantial lead, and I have to think that Poro Stars at this point are just feeling the pressure of an impending loss. They want to pull something out here. Qatar ends up getting caught once again in the jungle. Not going to go over well for him. That's going to be another man down for Poro Stars. They are desperately trying to defend this turret here. Killing Force doing what he can to push the minion wave back, but at this point, Poro Stars are going to have to concede this turret over to Rebel Force. Not too many structures left in the way of Rebel Force and their victory.
Yeah.
This clock just keeps ticking down, and unfortunately, it's only getting worse for Poro Stars.
This is getting ugly. This is getting pretty ugly pretty fast. They're already sieging the bot tower. Mid is pushing. You have pretty much free reign over whatever they want to do. I really would like to go back and see the early game and see sort of what happened to Wukong to where he sort of fell so far behind because he's by. But
I think as far as jungle goes, there were just a lot of missed opportunities. Qatar really had the option to make life hell for Space Curtains, and just instead stayed on his own side of the jungle and just sort of solo farm things up. The engagement happening now, though. Common Flare is in the middle of it with his ultimate. The damage from Chocolate Team tearing through. Sky is there to try to pick things up. Ends up going down to Snugglebear, but Killing Force putting together quite a good showing there as well, but the team effort just not going to come through for them. But that was the closest fight we have seen all game. But unfortunately at this stage, 28 minutes in, that's going to mean an inhibitor down, and Snugglebear and Generation Blue gonna have to get out of there. Qatar, Camouflare, Tetran coming back up. They've already got what they wanted out of that. 2 inhibitors are down. Those minions are on to the Nexus turrets. And Poro Stars, despite having the best fight of the game so far for them, might not have enough time to come back in this one.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. He had a pretty decent team fight. It wasn't super clean, but Kalista was given a few moments to like really unload on the entire team, and she did a lot of damage in that team fight. And that was fortunately for them, what kept it really so close and probably would save them the game. But it just wasn't quite enough. And we're only 29 minutes into this game, so the respawn timers are not going to be that long. So it is going to be kind of hard for Rebel Force to close this out. Oh, the catch! He's dead.
Chocolatine ends up getting caught by Sky. Unfortunate
Adios.
position to be in. Every little bit helps. So, Poro Star's got to be feeling good about that. Going to take a little bit of pressure off the map, but Rebel Force still pressing up this mid lane, and I gotta feel like at this point this is the time that Poro Stars want to fight. Sky is still stuck in the top lane. His teleport is available. He can join the fight, but at this point I just feel like I want to see Poro Stars going in after these 4 members as 5. Chocolatine is still dead. There is
I
no
don't know.
reason to concede this inhibitor.
Now they're teleporting in.
Now he's teleporting back, and Killing Course getting jumped on by Space Curtains. Space is not going to have the backup of his team there, but he's blocking enough time to grab that inhibitor. Chocolatine tearing through the back line there. Guitar.
Ooh, that was a good
next to
jigsaw puzzle.
fall along with Mr. Sky, and that is going to be the game. Rebel Force end up pulling off their first victory of the round robin stage, and Poro Stars still yet to put a W in that column.
Good game.
All right, folks, we're going to set up for game 4 of the night. We'll be back shortly.